All right. Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. I'm here with Tristyn and Kamohai, and husband and wife duo, designer and real estate investor team, and stars of the HGTV show Renovation Aloha. Welcome to Founders Club.
Right on, my man. I appreciate you for having us. We're excited to be here.
I know. Thank you. We're excited to be here. I've never been called a designer before, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Nice. We'll count it. So why don't we just start with just kind of a little bit of backstory, and I like to find out a little bit about just how everybody got into the game of real estate.
Yeah, love that. Do you want to start?
Go for it.
Okay, so we've both been entrepreneurs our entire adult life. So my background is in licensed mental health counseling and kind of the nonprofit world. So I own and operated a nonprofit for about 6 years with my best friend from college, and it's still a passion project. I'm still on the board of that, but we were struggling. Between 2016 and 2018, we had a lot going on. We got married, we had our 2 children, we were both building our businesses. He owned and operated men's retail clothing stores, had a couple stores here with his brother in Hawaii and then also in San Diego. But we were in debt. We were $80,000 in debt. We were renting, and I felt like a door was locked to a world that I just needed to get into. I felt like we were missing something. And I was on the couch with my newborn and I saw a commercial for real estate. And I was like, maybe that has the key to open this door. And we went to the seminar, and kind of the rest was history.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was
Yeah.
interesting because I was very hesitant at that time. I mean, we closed the stores down, and that was really like a passion thing for my brother and I. And I was actually going back to school. I went back to school. I thought I was going to become a lawyer.
Mhm.
I graduated with a degree in political science and economics, and I was going to take my LSAT. And then she's like, throws this curveball at me and says, "Hey, we're going to go to this real estate seminar. You should come." And I briefly looked at it, and the guys up there were saying, "You can buy houses with none of your own money." And I was like, bro, this sounds like a scam. Like legit. There's no possible way. We're in Hawaii where the median price point for a house is $1,050,000. Like, I'm 80 grand in debt. How am I going to buy a house?
Right.
You know what I mean? Farthest thing from my
We were
mind.
just struggling to buy diapers and groceries.
Yeah, but I went with her, and the 3-hour thing turned into a 3-day thing, and somewhere along the way, something switched in my brain. I saw a local guy from Oahu up there saying he was working on 7 houses, and he looked like me, he talked like me. And it really gave me that little push to be like, okay, let's dig into this.
Yeah. So then we just started flipping houses, had no idea what we're doing. You know what I mean? Just struggled through those. We like to say we got a master's degree in flipping our first couple deals, and everything that could have went wrong absolutely did go wrong. But we just didn't give up because we both felt that we found a passion on how we could create wealth for our family, how we could impact lives, put locals back into homes. And so we just kept going. And so we've been doing it since 2018. And yeah, and now we have a show, which we never set out to have. But yet here we are. So
Yeah, definitely want to talk about that as well, how that all happened.
Yep.
So you're 80 grand in debt, you're trying to figure out your next moves. Sounds like you're in a tough spot. You go to this real estate seminar. What real estate seminar was it, by the way?
it was
It was
for,
a Fortune Builders event.
and
Fortune Builders.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Fortune Builders?
Yeah, that's Than Merrill and those guys. Shout
Yeah.
out to those guys.
Yeah,
Great
shout
group.
out to those guys. That
So-
was the first one.
They definitely laid a foundation to really teach us how to fix and flip. I mean, and it was game changing for us, and they did a good job at that. But then we just continued our education from there, and we learned how to go direct to seller. So we started marketing and built out that whole side, and that's really what skyrocketed our business.
The direct to seller approach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because prior we were just making offers off of the MLS.
Yeah, I mean, the Fortune Builders event kind of touched a little bit on that, and then like the education that we took part in kind of touched a little bit on off-market stuff and not very much wholesaling. Like there were very heavy fix and flip focused. I think that's what they were experts at, and that's what they had done.
Mhm.
And so they felt comfortable teaching that. And so they told us to go out, find a relationship with a realtor, tell them what we wanted to do, and start having that realtor send us potential fixers, you know? And so we did that. I think that's one thing that when I look back on what has allowed us to be successful from the beginning is we took a playbook that was already there. We didn't reinvent the wheel in any way. They gave us directions. We fully committed to those directions and took massive action.
Yeah.
And we literally did it step by step by step by step for a long time. I mean, we were putting offers in for 8 months before we got our first house, you know? So it was a long process. And then, I mean, that first house was a doozy, but yeah, a lot of credit to Than guys at Fortune Builders.
Yeah, let's great group for sure. I'm guessing that might have been in San Diego as well, or was that out there?
It was out here, so I think they still do them, but it was their once or twice a year where they come and they put an event out here in Hawaii.
Yeah. So you took the course, and then a lot of people, they go to seminars, they get motivated, they get excited, and then the notes that they took, they go to one side of the desk, then they go a little further out on the side of the desk, then they end up on the shelf, and next thing you know, you're never thinking about it again. But you guys, you took massive action. So let's talk about that piece right there. Tell me about, like, what was the action you think you guys were taking that made it work?
I was blindly and almost ignorantly just doing the thing that was right in front of me, just the next step. So if they said, go and look at comps, or they said, go make this realtor packet and go and find a realtor and have this conversation, we just did that. And I'm so glad at that time that I didn't overthink anything. And I was just blindly, almost like I said, naively doing exactly what they told me to do. And I wasn't second guessing it. And that's really what moved the needle. And we were so motivated to change our situation because it wasn't just about us anymore. It was about the two beautiful children that we brought into this world, and that he wanted to be able to provide a certain lifestyle for them and not be struggling. We wanted to own a home here, and it felt impossible. And so I think desperation was really being so sick and tired of your current situation that there's no other option,
Yeah, I think that for sure was probably the number one thing. The pain of staying the same was so great that we knew that we were missing something. Like there was something there that we just weren't connected to yet, And we very much so now, looking back on it, realize that we picked the best vehicle. I mean, I'm biased, right? But I say real estate really was the hidden piece to the puzzle for us that unlocked a whole new world, right? And we took baby steps getting into it, and we're still learning, right? Real estate's the coolest thing because you never get it. It's not a destination, right? You're constantly learning and leveling up. And there's so many ways to make money in real estate that you're always upping your game, But I think back to the beginning sometimes, because nowadays we hold up like big meetups, and, we want our community to elevate with us. And we're like, hey, I have the secret sauce. You just have to be willing to do the work, right? And a lot of people just won't do it. They just won't take the action. Like the playbook's right here. And I think back to why was it that we did, And I think it is that we weren't content being comfortable at where we were. Like there was something there that was pushing us and propelling us forward. And luckily we found real estate.
Yeah. And another thing I noticed you say is it took you 8 months to land your first deal. Again, a lot of people would have given up in that process, but let's talk about that first deal, kind of how you did it and what that was like.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
So at that time, you know, we were making, I don't know, as many offers a day as we could. And we would then physically go look at the houses. Like now, I can't even imagine doing that. We just don't have the capacity or the time. But back then, when we were just working with one realtor and making offers, we would go look at every single house. And I think there was a day we looked at like 8, maybe 10 houses. And it was the last house we saw in the dark. It was nighttime by the time we got to it. And we couldn't see anything that we were really, I was like with my iPhone flashlight, like trying to look. Um, and that's the house that accepted our offer. And I remember looking at him like, oh my God, what do we do now? You know what I mean? And so we ended up, he already formed relationships with hard money lenders in our local market. And so we had that set lined up, and Fortune Builders taught us how to underwrite a deal very, very well. So I had my whole, you know, spiel. I was raising private money. We ended up closing on the deal, and we just fumbled through that thing. So it ended up having what we thought was maybe $10,000 to $15,000 worth of foundation issues turned out to be $40,000 worth of foundation issues. We have post and pure construction here, and we have a lot of adobe soil. I don't know if you know about adobe soil, but it sucks. And so it ended up just being horrendous. We had the wrong contractor. We obviously had no idea what we were doing, what to look for, you know, and it went way over timeline. And so by the time we were done with the flip, the market was changing. COVID was settling in. It was kind of just a crazy, crazy one. But we didn't lose money. We ended up breaking even because we bought the deal so deep. So yeah.
I mean, that's a testament to making sure that you have those right foundations and you buy right. We always talk about you make the money on the buy, and that holds true every single time. Like I tell you, because everything went wrong on that deal and we still didn't lose money, right? I see today a lot of people getting started, not buying the deal right and getting taken out before they even get started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so shout out to Fortune Builders for teaching us how to buy a good deal and underwrite it properly. You know, that man, and she said it earlier, but it was really a blessing that we learned all those lessons on that first one. I think potentially if we went in there, it was a piece of cake and we made 6 figures on that deal, we would have potentially learned those lessons on a later deal and it might have taken us out. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna go through some hard stuff in real estate. And yeah, we did it in the very first deal we had.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't feel that way at the time, but looking back, it was probably a great lesson.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so since that first deal, you guys have gone on to do how many deals over the last couple years?
Yeah. So right now we're doing between 25 and 30 flips a year on Oahu.
Nice.
And we've found that to be like our sweet spot. It's kind of one of those things where for the size of the team that we want, there's a diminishing return after that many deals. Everything else starts to slow down. Our contractors get overloaded. And so we're okay with doing that many every year. And I mean, the thing is here in Hawaii, we're like Southern California where our margins are a lot bigger on these things. We're doing full gut rehabs. Like our average reno's $250,000 and we're doing everything to these houses. But our average profit last year was $150,000. You know what I mean? So if we can
the
just
spreads are bigger.
Way bigger, right? And
so is the risk.
Right. But we stick to that number. That's enough for that one. And then we focus on other income streams as well, right? Through long-term rentals, short-term rentals, and that kind of thing.
We love flipping. It's not something that we'll ever think we'll stop doing, but we flip to then go and buy and hold. So we take our profits and we just buy rentals. You know what I mean? That's really where the wealth is created.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, circling back to something you said earlier, you said you get a lot of your deals now off market. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about kind of how you guys are sourcing deals right now. In today's market, it's a lot different than it was a few years ago. So just kind of what your approach is and what's working today.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone on here understands marketing, you understand that marketing's always changing because our market's always changing, right?
Right.
And then you dive into your specific market, and that market's different than my market,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so our evolution into direct to seller marketing was one of necessity, right? Like earlier I said, we were just offering on the MLS, and that was in 2018 through 2020 through 2019, end of 2019. And what happened during that time is it just started getting really, really hard to grow for us, and it was super competitive on the MLS. And so we knew we needed to do something else. We did get involved with another mentorship that really taught us that we're a sales and marketing company that does real estate as well, right? So I just went to work building out our marketing side, and we started with texting. I picked texting as my platform that I was going to do. And during that time, texting was like really, really good. It was like really, really good, especially here in Hawaii. And so I literally pulled a list, an absentee owner high equity list in my market. I sat down in my office and I sent out 1,000 text messages a day. I did that I was responding to all the texts. I was doing everything myself. I was getting on the phone with the sellers. I would go out to appointments. I did that for 3 months and I locked up 3 contracts. So to give you some context, prior to that, we had done 3 deals. So, so it was game changing for us. The rest of that year, we did 17 deals that year, all off market, direct to seller. And so that gave us proof of concept. We just poured money back into the marketing thing. I hired VAs. So now I have our current marketing looks like texting. We still do texting. We're sending out through launch control about 1,200 text messages a day. We cold call. We have one cold caller that cold calls, and then we are heavy inbound stuff. So we spend a lot of money on PPC and Google ads. And then we have a piece that just looks at MLS deals. So every day combing through all the MLS deals, putting in offers on those. And then we have our referral business, which I mean, you have to eventually over time, you start to build a brand for yourself. You start to be known in your market. We started holding meetups. So we've become one of the authorities in our marketplace. You start to meet people everywhere, and so we get a good amount of deals through referrals. So we're normally doing about 3 contracts a month that we actually take on and flip. And 2 of them are coming from our marketing, and then 1 normally through a referral.
Yeah. And then we also buy off of wholesalers too. There's not many here in Hawaii, but we buy some of our deals from wholesalers too. So I mean, multiple ways,
100%. Yeah, it's interesting that you're saying you're having success with PPC because generally the investors that we talk to have had no luck with that. So I'm curious what you're doing there. But so you said you were sending out 1,000 texts a day through launch control, and you're personally responding. You're working these deals. You're building up your pipeline. And what is it? Are you just going? You're targeting high equity lists. And then are you just coming straight in with an offer, or what's your message on the PPC and the outreach?
Yeah. So the one thing about Hawaii is it's different than anywhere else that I've ever been, and especially in the real estate space, because Hawaii has such a unique relationship with the United States, one, and with land. the sellers that we're talking to are very, very relational based and want to know who you are. And so one of the things that has really allowed us to be very successful is the fact that I'm from here. I'm native Hawaiian. My family goes back 64 generations. And everybody knows the Kalamas. I have like 87 first cousins in Kailua. And so it is a very relational conversation. And so it takes a little bit more time. But the sellers want to know who you are right off the back. What high school did you go to? It's crazy over here, man. It's neat. It is really cool. But it's not like a you want to sell your house, here's my offer on
Here's
it.
the DocuSign, sign the contract.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting because I think what you're saying, and it works in any market, right? Is you've almost become like an authority in the area. You're local. You've got roots there. But in addition to that, you're hosting meetups. You're putting yourself out there. And we talk about this all the time. Is the more you do that, the more the phone just starts to ring, because now you're meeting wholesalers. You're meeting different referral partners, referral sources. You're forming those relationships, and then all of a sudden it becomes less about the outbound marketing and more about just your deal flow just becomes almost automatic.
100%.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah, and a lot of the Google stuff too is credibility as well. You know what I mean? Like just having your website pop up there. A lot of times we'll just get calls come in. People don't even click our link. You know what I mean? They're just looking online. So
I mean, I think that's why it's so important to put yourself out there, and you are your brand, you are your business. So if you're not doing social media, it's almost like that's your business card. You have to be doing social media. You have to be sharing your journey, no matter where you are in that, journey. You have to share it. You have to be loud about what you're doing and go to meetups and put yourself out there and ask hard questions, because you never know who is going to be there that is going to change your entire path. So,
And then on that note, of the deals kind of coming to you now, and you guys are growing your operation. You've kind of found your sweet spot. What advice would you have to people today that are looking to kind of grow their business, take it to the next level?
We'll probably say different things. I don't know.
Go for it. I think we'll probably say the same thing.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I feel like it's kind of multi-layered. The first thing I would say would be take a step back and do some internal work, because if you're going to grow your business, leadership comes into play. And if you're not holistically well-rounded as a human being and connected to yourself and dealt with whatever, this is my mental health side coming in, right? But if you haven't dealt with any stuff, it will come out, because as you grow your business, the stress comes on. And if you don't have the capacity to withstand or handle that stress, you'll crumble. I'm speaking from experience. And so that would be the first thing. And the second thing would be record every single freaking thing that you do, because as you bring team members on, they aren't robots. They aren't going to know what they're doing. But if you don't have good systems in place to teach them that maximizes time, it's just going to be a recipe for disaster, also speaking from experience. So that was really game changing for really my side of the business, which is the paperwork side and the construction side. He's the marketing side, but really recording everything that I do on Loom, and having SOPs for when you get a contract. How do you fill out a contract? How do you open escrow? Okay, how are you raising money? How are you building out your scope of work? Like all of this stuff, is so critical if you're going to start bringing on admin people and project managers and construction coordinators and all this stuff. So SOPs and do the internal work.
Yeah, those are all very good things.
Did I leave anything
No,
out?
I think so. For someone that's like in the business and they want to grow, right? They're going to trying to scale their business. I think because in the beginning, right, most of us get started because we want to make money. We want to make money. We're not happy with where we're at. Maybe we're struggling, and so that's our motivation. I think Yeah, once you get to a certain point and you're ready to start growing, I think you really have to take a step back and figure out what it is you want, where it is you want to go. I'm always a firm believer with have the destination or the goalpost or somewhere in mind.
Yeah.
And so for us, we had to sit down and we mapped out 5 years. We looked at those 5-year goals, and then we cut it back to 3 years, and then we cut it back to 1 year, and then we cut it back to 90 days, all the way down to action steps. What we're going to do the very next day to get there. Reverse engineer that. We have that stuck in our office on the wall, right? And that's a clear goalpost for us to look. Now, the thing is that's not enough, right? Then you also have to do the internal work to make sure that you're ready to accept all of these things that are going to come, because as entrepreneurs, we have the tendency to succeed our problems away or make enough money and then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right. And we always push the goalpost further and further and further. We get to a certain dollar amount and then we look around, we're like, frick, I'm not happy. Like, what is this? I made $1 million, but I'm not happy. Like, why?
Yeah.
You know?
And you see it all the time on social media, these real estate gurus and standing in front of their Lambos and their big houses, and kudos to them, but are they happy? Have they, you don't want to be in a position where you're like, okay, I'm ready to scale. I want to build my business, but why do you want to do that? Is it just because you want more money, or is it because, and that's fine. I'm money motivated. He's money motivated. There's nothing wrong with that, but really asking yourself those hard questions of what's motivating you to want to build your business, because you don't want to get to the goalpost and have this massive operation and you're miserable, you don't have any time with your family, and you're unhappy. Like, that's not what it's about. That's not why we got into real estate. We got into real estate to have passive income and time freedom. So make sure you're aligned while you're building.
So you get aligned, you have your goals and you map them out. I think a very practical thing that I would tell anyone, and I tell people this all the time, is your market is very specific. What you need to do is go out into your market. There's meetups everywhere. Every market has people that are operating in it. And you need to go find that person that is doing what you want to do. Their life looks like yours, what you want yours to look like. Their operation looks potentially what you want yours to look like. Success leaves clues. Go freaking bug the crap out of that person, and not really bug them, but you got to add value. You got to add immense value to that person, and get in those circles and start networking with those people. And surprisingly, people nowadays, I mean, especially here in our market, are so willing to help others. And the people that are willing to help and want other people to elevate are normally the most successful ones. So that would be a practical first step for someone that wants to grow.
Yeah, for sure.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Fully agree. And it sounds like you guys have done a really good job with that too, even identifying like your sweet spot in terms of how many deals a year you guys want to do to create the lifestyle that you're looking for. So it sounds like you guys have done a really good job like mapping all that out. I also really liked what you said about recording everything. I think that's a big one, because inevitably you lose team members, and instead of having to train from day one, it's like, here's the playbook, like go through the playbook, if there's checklists, videos, whatever it is. I think that can be tremendously beneficial in terms of just keeping forward progress happening and brain damage to a minimum in terms of new people
I love that.
and all of that.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about how you guys landed the show and how all that went down.
Yeah,
that's a fun story too, I think.
It is fun. I don't know if what other TV hosts or personalities, how they got their show, but they slid into our emails and our DMs, And I honestly was like, dude, look at this. Like it says TV, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not going to touch it because I feel like it's a virus. Like
Or
if I touch the email,
it's a scam for
and
sure.
it's a scam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For
Definitely.
sure.
Yeah.
Scam.
And so I was like, they're probably from Africa, you know, like trying to, I don't know, get money from us. But I literally just ignored it for months. And then they're still trying to source what they call talent because they're in the developmental stage of trying to create a show here in Hawaii about real estate here. And the real estate community is small here. So they were reaching out to all of our friends and they were specifically looking for a husband and wife team that does volume. And so all of our friends were like, oh, well, you got to reach out to Kamohai and Tristyn. You got to reach out to Kamohai and Tristyn. And then once they kept referring them back to us, I was like, maybe we should probably
we're getting all these calls from our friends saying like, hey, this production company reached out to me. Hey, this production company reached out to me and I referred them to you.
Yeah.
And so we're like, yeah, maybe we should look at the email.
So then finally I like went back and there was a few emails. I clicked on the one, I responded. I said, hey, a lot of people are telling me to respond to you. Like if you want to set up a Zoom and talk story, I would love to find out what it is you're even talking about. And then one thing led to another. And, you know, we had no aspirations to be on TV. So he and I, it was a very interesting conversation and like long back and forth on like, is this something that we even want to do? Because believe it or not, I know that our faces are all over HGTV, but like I'm a very private person and I'm not that extroverted. I can turn it on. I love people. I love, you know, helping, but ultimately I also love just being at home and being by myself. And so, but if the end goal was impact and how we can grow our business, then the show is the right move for us. But one Zoom led to more Zooms, which led to a sizzle reel, which led to an act 1, which led to a pilot. I'm probably leaving a step out in there.
It's pretty good.
But it's a 2-year long process of being greenlit to actually film a season. And so we finally got greenlit and we filmed all of last year's season 1, and season 1 just aired on February 20th.
First episode.
So
we're on the second one.
The second episode airs tomorrow, whenever this is filmed, or whenever we shot this. But yeah, it's 8 episodes, and so they filmed 8 of the projects that we did in 2023, and we decided to share it with the world. So
yeah, it's crazy. We always say TV was never on the vision board.
Never.
It was never on the goal board. We were just together, huddled, building our little business here in Hawaii.
Head down grinding,
like,
you know?
like big dreams, big aspirations, but that threw us a curveball, you know? And I think it was a hard conversation to have. Luckily, one of our mentors at the time was just finished filming his first season of a TV show. And so the first thing Tristyn did after we realized that it was a real production company is we reached out to our mentor and we're like, hey, are these people real or what?
Yeah. like how do
is this legit? Like,
how do I verify what they're saying is factual? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pace Morby, but we reached out to him and I was like, you're filming a TV show. How do I checks and balances? Please help me figure this out. And he's like, you should do the show. And here's how you figure this out. So we figured it out, and
we said yes, and we were kind of off to the races. But I think it has been cool because we get to involve a lot of our friends, right? And so our friends and our family. And so we work with a bunch of different realtors that get to market themselves on the show. We work with a bunch of different contracting crews that now they have a ton of marketing. They have a huge platform. And I think we in the beginning asked ourselves like why we got into real estate, and we got into real estate because it can do 2 of the things we care about the most, right? The first thing is we get to build generational wealth for our family, right? And our kids and their kids. That's super important. And that's the thing. But Tristyn and I also have a soft spot for helping people. We want to solve problems. We want to elevate our local community around us. And I think real estate is one of those professions where you can accomplish those 2 things. And so that's always our filter. And if an opportunity comes, is that opportunity going to help us get accelerated, right, to do those two things? And if it is, then we walk through that door, and I think TV was just one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's killer. It checks all the boxes. It's going to be massive exposure. It's going to help with deal flow. It's going to help with credibility,
Yeah.
all of the things. So that's really cool. Congrats on that. Kind of a side Hawaii question is, obviously we all saw the devastation in Maui. How has that been going? Is that how's the rebuild going, and how long do you think it's going to take before it gets back to anywhere near what it was?
Man, that's so tough, because we
Yeah.
have I didn't have any
I was
personal
just wearing my Lahaina Strong
yeah
shirt.
Lahaina
too.
Strong shirt personal family members that had lost homes in Lahaina, but we
But
have very close connections.
our realtor, one
One
of
of
the
our
realtors,
realtors,
and we
yeah.
actually just closed a transaction with him on Friday, but he lost everything, and his family lost their homes. And so I remember holding a meetup and asking him to speak and see if he would share his experience and how the community can come behind him and help. But this is going to be a very long process, and there's a lot of controversy around it, but then there's a lot of love and there's a lot of support around it. I know that there's community leaders that are coming together to find a path forward. His dad's actually involved in trying to do that.
Yeah, it's been a slow process. Everybody has to agree. You know what I
And
mean?
it's hard,
It's
everyone
hard.
has feelings about it. But I think the main thing is trying to find long-term solutions, and putting the community first is first and foremost. But there's a lot of red tape. I know that they started cleaning the land, because when there's a lot of toxicity and all that stuff in the soil. So they're starting to do that. And I know that insurance costs have gone up since this all has gone down. And so I know a lot of people that have received money and they're waiting to build, but there's red tape. And so it's just really, if you know people in Maui that have been affected, reach out to them, send them stuff, ask them what they need, or don't, and just send them stuff. But really keeping it at the forefront and talking about it and sharing about it and coming from a place of love and collaboration, I think is the only path forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of media attention right away, and then it kind of goes away.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
All the media stuff goes away, but the people are still there hurting and trying to rebuild, right? And so I think if you do know anybody there, like reaching out and just talking story, how you asked us that question, ask that question.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Because real stuff is still happening there, and it is going to be a super long process. And I think there's some things that people can do in the short term, and it's going to be long-term stuff that's going to take a really long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My dad actually met with a bunch of the leaders this weekend. They all got together on Oahu, and they're trying to figure out a path forward. The hardest thing is like everybody has to agree, and then you have to get the state on board, and there's federal monies involved. So like, it's just a lot of things that have to be gone through.
Yeah. I think while that's all logistically being worked out, the main priority would be finding stable long-term housing for the families that were displaced
Right.
and lost
Right.
everything. And I think there's a lot, these families are being put into hotels, and then they're being moved again, and then they're being moved again. And that just causes a level of so much stress and so much anxiety to an already
100%.
very bad situation. So I think that should be the focus as well, is finding long-term solutions for these families while they wait to rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anything about like the downtown area? Is that being rebuilt or at all? Because I remember when I first saw those pictures of just like the ash, like the day
Yeah.
after, that was just like you never forget that kind of image,
Never.
Never.
I mean, the boats on fire in the harbor, like it was crazy. It was apocalyptic. Like that's what it was.
We were supposed to film, and I was telling the production company, like, none of this matters. Like, we should know. Like, we do not need to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, we need to stop everything. And we did. We just went and got donations when it was happening. We just shipped them off. And I just, yeah, it's something you don't think you'll ever experience. And it's hard because it didn't physically happen to us. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But I feel like if you're from Hawaii, you feel connected to everybody. And when one island is hurting, the other island is hurting,
100%. And I think everybody remembers Front Street. Like, people loved Front Street, right? They went to Maui, and everyone knows that place. It's such a little iconic street,
Historical,
historical, right? And how it was built. And I don't know if it's gonna be the same. You know what I mean? My hope is that the people of Maui are happy with what is being built there, and it's better in different ways. You know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna go back to what it was, or I don't even know if the people want it to go back to exactly what it was. But I do see this as an opportunity for a new beginning for the community and the businesses to come together and rally together and be in support of what is happening. And that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But if that works, it'll be even better than it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, it's a blank slate now. So now they get to decide what happens next. So hopefully it works out. Send help in any way we can, and we'll keep it in the conversation for sure.
Yes. Thank you.
One question I also like to ask is, I have 2 young boys at home, and I like to ask the successful people I get to talk to, what advice you would give to them and like the next generation of entrepreneurs?
Man, that's such a good question.
Yeah, I've never been asked that question. That's an unreal question.
I mean, the first thing I think that comes to mind was a conversation we had with Alan Akina, who is a financial educator from Hawaii here. And he talks, I'm totally going to botch how he said this, but it's in my own words pretty much, that just basically every conversation they're paying attention to, and the words that you use are super, super powerful. And kids are really born innocent, and it's us as adults and everything that happens in life that really taints that. And it's not that they don't believe in themselves, it's society that kind of changes the trajectory of their self-worth and their self-belief. And so just the words that you're speaking to them, speak life, speak positivity,
not scarcity, but abundance, right?
All
no,
those
we don't
things.
have money, like money.
Like just that statement,
right?
Oh no, we don't have money for that. You're developing their relationship with money just from that, so like just be very aware and careful with the words that you use. And then the next one was relationship with money, because I think that holds us back. I know culturally here in Hawaii, we come from a very scarcity, like if you talk about money, and I think it's worldwide, if you talk about money, it's like a taboo thing. And I don't want that for my kids. I want them to freely talk about money. And I catch myself doing it now, I'm like, oh, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. But it's like, why? Like, let's talk about money, have an abundance relationship with money. So yeah, just that's really my spiel.
I mean, oh man, we have 2 kids. My daughter's 7, my son's 5. So I often think about this, we're raising them as human beings, but also they're going to soon be at an age where it's going to be even more important, right, to foster them into what they're going to be, right? And I think our goal has always been, my goal specifically has always been to allow my children to find a path that they are passionate and love, right? I think for me, I was raised that I have to go to college, I graduate from college, and I find a good job, in that corporate world. And I think I just want my children to understand and know and want to foster their creativity
Mm.
and their imagination. And I want to make sure that they're not getting that closed off, or I'm not doing anything to do that. I think how we do that is through integration. My children see everything that we're doing. We bring them with us to meetups. Sometimes we bring them on the job sites. If you ask my 5-year-old what we do, my 5-year-old will tell you that we fix houses, right? We buy junk houses and we fix them up and sell them, you know? And so I think really fostering the creativity and not saying, you know, no to certain things, you know what I mean? I think making sure that you're keeping them open to all the possibilities.
Yeah, because and if they feel the freedom to do that, right, then they have this amazing self-worth and self-belief, and then therefore they're happy humans, and happy humans perpetuate that, and they can create bigger change around them. So that's the end goal, you know?
Love that. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. All right. Well, one final question, and this is just, in 60 seconds or less,
Oh
what
god.
does it take to be a successful real estate investor in today's market?
Taking massive action and not giving up, but that action is going to be imperfect, and never try to be perfect.
Yes.
Boom.
Right? I don't know.
Boom.
I just saw the
Nailed
shaka
it.
back
Yeah.
there. I see a
Nailed it.
shaka in the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Nice. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks again for coming on. For those that want to connect with you guys, where can they find you?
right
Yeah,
there
so
on
we're at
oh,
Kamohai and
there.
Tristyn on all the social, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us there. You can also find us at Deals and Aloha
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yep.
on Instagram,
yeah.
and that's our podcast as well. And you guys, we're literally an open book. You might see our face on TV, but we're just normal people. I think
Yeah.
you guys will recognize that when you watch the show. You know, very just relatable people.
Yep.
And please reach out to us. Slide in the DMs if you have questions. We're really an open book.
Yeah, and catch us on TV. HGTV is on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Hawaii.
There you go.
Go.
Yeah, definitely check out the show Renovation Hawaii on HGTV. We'll be rooting for you guys and for more massive success in the future. And for everyone out there, if you like money and you like real estate, this is the show for you. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Right on, man.
Thank you.